Allow me to introduce you to the material and tools I'm going to be using. If you guys have seen one of my previous fabric hauls video, this is one of the fabrics I got earlier this year, and it's this beautiful orange and blue and white Ankara print. I got a total of 6 yards. I also got matching thread, some pins, chalk, tape, scissors, long ruler, as well as pattern paper, which I didn't show in this particular clip. So I'm just going to go ahead and plan the kimono design. I would have done this straight onto fabric, but because you couldn't really see the shape on the material, I'm going to be drawing it on paper first, cutting it out, and then going ahead to cut out the actual piece. So I've gone ahead and I've drawn a straight vertical line here, which is going to become my center back as well as my center front. I'm also going to draw in the back neckline in by 8 centimeters and down vertically by 6. I'm doing this way because the kimono shape is the same at the front as well as at the back, so the only thing that is really different is the neckline. So the shoulder is about, I think, 45 centimeters from that back neckline point, and I'm just drawing in a long line that goes from the neck all the way to the hem. And the beautiful thing about kimonos is you just have one straight line that acts as both like the shoulder and the sleeve. The kimono sleeve is 25 centimeters wide, meaning a total of 50 when you cut like the front and the back panels. So I'm just going in here to draw the sleeve hem like so, and then I'm going to go in to sort of write that that's the sleeve hem, and then mark 25 centimeters inwards like this, because I want to draw in the bottom of the sleeve and then connect it to the main body of the kimono. So once I've drawn that line, which will be the bottom of the sleeve, I'm going to go ahead and plan the actual body. The main kimono body is 32 centimeters wide and is 85 centimeters long. It's basically a big square. So I'm drawing in the hem here, and I'm going to draw in the side. So it means the bust is 32, the hips is 32, the waist is 32, and that's why it has that sort of, you know, loose and baggy fit. You can decide to make yours a bit more fitted, but I just wanted it to be really loose because I wanted it as a draping piece I would wear on a really warm day, and in case it got cooler at night, I had something to keep me sort of protected. So once I'm done doing that, I'm going to go ahead and add 1 centimeter seam allowance around the hem of the sleeve and the side of the main kimono. So this is what it looks like. This is the back, but the front is literally going to be the same thing when it comes to the sleeve, the body, and the main hem. So I added about 4 centimeters to the hem of the kimono, which we're going to be folding inwards to finish off the bottom. Moving on to planning the front neckline, I am going to be marking 35 centimeters down from that center back neckline, and we're going to be drawing in a shape that would be flattering in the front of the kimono. You can decide to have yours sort of high, but I wanted something that goes downwards and deeps in like a V like this. You have the freedom to be as experimental as possible. So the way I'm going to be playing with this pattern is I'm going to be folding the fabric twice and then cutting the back before going in to cut the front. So this will make much more sense when I'm actually cutting out the kimono main body itself. So I have about 2 meters of fabric here folded twice. Is folded horizontally and folded vertically, as you can see here. So I have 2 folded points, one downwards and one by the side. So I know the shoulder point is on a fold and the center back and center front is on a fold as well. So because we have sort of 2 pieces folded in here, we're going to be cutting the front and the back at the same time. So I've gone ahead and I've pinned down my pattern, and I'm cutting out my necks, my side, and making a notch of the center back so I remember where that is supposed to sit. So I'm going to remove the pin here, and I'm going to draw in the front neckline on one side of the kimono piece that we just cut out, and I'm going to draw in the shape of that front neckline. I made dash lines and I'm connecting the dash lines, so when I open up this piece I know exactly where the front neckline is supposed to sit. So now as I'm drawing the neckline, this is what it looks like, and I am happy with the shape. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the piece like so, open it up this way and open it up the other way as well. So we have the sleeves lined next to each other, and we have the back neckline sitting on its own, and we can cut open our front neckline. I have folded it out in such a way that the front neckline is the line we drew is visible, because we want to cut the front neckline open, so we have a side for the front and we have a way to actually get into this kimono piece. So I've cut out this front neckline and I'm going to cut open the center front, so that becomes the way you get in and out of the kimono jacket. And I'm just going in with my scissors. Because I'm going to be adding a placket, it doesn't really matter in terms of extra seam allowance, because the placket is going to be an additional sort of collar around the neck of the kimono piece. So this is what the kimono looks like right now. I say it's a very simple way to cut the piece, because you don't have to think about joining the shoulder. All you have to do is join the side seams, and then you fix your placket along the neck, and then you fold your bottom, and you're basically finished. Moving on to the placket piece, which is essentially like a long collar that goes all around the back neckline, front neckline, and center front. I'm just going in here to measure around the neck, back, front, and sort of the straight front of the kimono to get an exact dimension. So it's about 208 centimeters long, and I'm going to be making it about 12 centimeters wide. So I also need to cut the flare pieces, which has a radius of 8, and I arrived at this number following the calculation and formula for the circumference of a circle. The circumference for the sleeve hem is 50 centimeters, and if you apply that all the way to the end, you're going to get R as 8. With all the calculations out of the way, it's time to actually cut out the tiered flare that go at the bottom of the sleeve hem. So I folded my fabric in half. I have about half a meter folded for this particular piece here, and I'm going to go to one of the folded edge and mark 8 centimeters down. So I'm just going to go across, marking 8 centimeters, 8 centimeters, 8 centimeters, until I have a quarter of a circle here, and I'm just connecting my dash lines and then adding 1 centimeter on top of that quarter circle created earlier on, because that's going to be the seam allowance we need to join into the rest of the sleeve. So the first tier is 15 centimeters wide. You can make yours as long as you want depending on how much fabric you have, and following the same way I did for the top quarter circle, I'm just joining the dash lines together before going ahead to cut it out. So when I was cutting it out, I added about 1 centimeter sort of hem allowance, so I can fold the hem off nicely and finish it off cleanly. So I'm just cutting off the inner circle, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for the second tier. The second tier is 25 centimeters wide because it has to be a bit longer than the first one, so it actually shows as 2 steps for the sleeve. So I'm just joining up the hem before going ahead to cut it out, cutting off the bottom as well as cutting off the top, so we have a full circle that we can attach to the bottom of the kimono sleeve. These are my 2 tiers done. They're going to sit like this on the sleeve. They look really nice and flowy and appropriate for the season. So these are all of my pieces cut out and ready to sew. That's my main kimono garment. That's my placket strap, which is 208 centimeters long and 12 centimeters wide. I've also cut another pair of tiered sleeves to go on the other sleeve of the kimono. So once I have all of these pieces sorted, it's actually time to go ahead and join them together. And the first thing I'll be doing is to sew the sides of the kimono. So I've added some pins just to keep them in place, and I'm going to be sewing from the bottom of the sleeve down to the sides in one continuous stitch for the left and for the right hand side. So I'm just using a normal straight stitch on a 1 centimeter seam allowance, sewing all the way around the bottom of the sleeve, sewing down the sides before going back in with a zigzag stitch to secure my seam. My overlocker has died again. I don't know what to do about that thing, but for now I'm just using my zigzag stitch to secure my seams on the inside of my garments. So once I've done that for both sides of the kimono, I'm going to go in and attach my tiered flare bottom pieces, and I've turn the garment inside out like so. I'm going to grab my tiered pieces, which I have pinned together around the head, as you can see here. So once I just grab it this way, place right sides together, I know once I pin the two pieces to the bottom of that sleeve hem, I stitch it up together. I know everything is attached with just that one stitch. So once I'm done adding all of the necessary pins just to secure it in place, I'm going to go ahead and sew up that piece together using a 1 centimeter seam allowance and a normal straight stitch on my domestic machine. So I'm going to sew the left and the right hand side and go back in with a zigzag stitch to secure my seams, repeating this for the left and for the right sleeve. So this is what the garment looks like right now. It's coming together slowly. I also went in and folded the bottom of the flared pieces. So what that means is I went in and I hemmed the bottom. So I folded the piece in twice and I stitched it all the way across, gave it a good press, so it just looks really nice and clean from the outside as well as the inside of the garment. So once that is done, it's time to move ahead and to attach the placket. I've already gone ahead and I've pressed my placket piece in half, so I have a fold across the center front, center back of this piece. So I'm going to grab it like so and put both raw edges together. So the raw edge of the placket piece and the raw edge of the neckline of the kimono. I'm just going to start from my center back points, pin it all the way around to the front, pin it down the center front, which is open, and this would be a really great way to finish off that part of the kimono. So I've pinned everything up all the way from the left to the right hand side, securing all of my points in place, and I'm going to be taking this piece together to my machine and sew everything up using a normal straight stitch on a 1 centimeter seam allowance. So in an ideal world, I would really love to overlock this point because this particular piece is visible in the front, but you can also use a bias tape if you don't have an overlocker, or do it using a French seam. So once that is done, I went ahead and I did a top stitch on 0.5 centimeters just to keep the seam tucked inside of the kimono, and this is what it looks like. That placket just really make it look really clean, I have to say. It just gives a very professional finish. So this is what the placket looks like. It looks really nice and I'm so happy with it. So once that is done, I'm going to move ahead and fold the hem of the kimono twice. So fold it in 1 centimeter and fold it in 3 centimeters again, and then stitch it up all the way from the left to the right hand side of the garment to finish it up. So once that is done, the kimono is finished and this is the final result. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. It was a really easy and quick sort of garment to put together. I can't wait to like rock it on trips and events this summer holiday, and it's something that I can even still use during the fall. If you guys would like to try it out, please do so and send me all of your pictures, tag me on social media, and I'll be excited to see what you guys come up with. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, comment all of your questions, suggestions, idea as usual down below, and until my next video, stay creative and have a good morning, afternoon and evening wherever you are. Bye loves.